Welcome to the Wood and Work podcast. I'm your host, Paul, from GCR Builds in the UK. Please don't forget to review us on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you are indeed listening to this podcast. You can also reach out to me with any questions or comments on any of the social media platforms, either the Wood and Work page or my own page. Right, let's get into it. So today we have another guest on. We have Wes Inglis on from Australia. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Good. So for the people that do not know who you are, could you just tell everyone who it is you are, what it is you do, and that sort of thing, please, mate?
Yeah, sure. So obviously my name's Wes Inglis. I live in the beautiful city of Sydney in Australia, kind of on the opposite side of the world to you. But I pretty much do anything woodwork, like joinery related, like cabinet making, and yeah, just a bit of everything, to be honest. Like I dip my toes in a lot of things, so I try where I can.
So are you sort of like mainly workshop based, or do you do site work, as we call it, or?
Yeah, no, I do. So a bit of backstory. So I'm 25, right? So when I finished school, I wasn't super sure what I wanted to do. I was actually going to go study at university. I was going to go be an engineer. But I decided to, throw that all out the door, and decide to do something working with my hands. So, because I've worked with my hands like my whole life, because my dad is I don't know what you call it in the UK. He's a wood tech teacher, or like he does industrial arts.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time since I've been in school, pal.
Yeah.
I think, when I was back in school, we used to call it CDT, which was craft design technology. Basically, woodwork classes. I don't know what they call it these days, to be honest, because I left school over 20 years ago, pal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, well, 25 years ago. I left school when you were born, I think, actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was born in 98, so.
Yeah, I was born in 78, right? So, yeah, I would have started my joinery career by the time you were born.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
So anyway, so your dad was he's a woodwork teacher.
Yeah, he was so he was a woodwork teacher, and so sometimes he would, take me to school, and I'd like just make things like when he was there in the holidays, or and he would always be making stuff at home, whether like that's like construction stuff or just anything really. I'd just always give him a hand. And then as I was leaving school, I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I decided, to not go to university and do a trade. So I did cabinet making. We call it cabinet making here in Australia, or joinery. Yeah. So I did that for about 4 years, and then so I did that for 4 years, and that was like an apprenticeship based thing. So I went to TAFE, or I don't know what you call it there, but we went to TAFE for like trade school for 2.5 years, and then you spend another 1.5 years with the actual company. So I did that, learned as much as I could. As pretty much as soon as I finished my apprenticeship, I left. So then I started, amongst all this, I was building things at home, whether that be like furniture, stuff. I uploaded a couple of videos onto YouTube, which got actually quite fairly big. And then I did, more so furniture, so after I finished my apprenticeship, I got more into the joinery, kitchens, cabinet making stuff. So I've been doing kitchens for a bit, but my main passion is doing the solid timber, woodwork and stuff like that. And just been doing a bit of both ever since. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you say you've uploaded a couple of videos, I mean, I must admit, it was only this morning. I thought, I'm sure that you had a bit of a YouTube channel, so I thought I'd have a quick little gander at YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 40k subscribers virtually. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's not. I mean, you've got. I mean, I do YouTube as well, and I find it's hard work. I mean, I've only just hit 2k on my subscribers, and it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it was. I think I can really attest it to It was just the video that I did was very like trending at the moment. So it was like I don't know if you saw it. It was like a waterfall minded edge coffee table, and I had like there was like a piece of perspex. So I took it at an angle, like straight on front view, where you couldn't see the perspex almost looked invisible, and so I think that's what really drew people in. And that video now has got like I think like 2.5 million views, and that was in I think 2017. Was it 2017 or 2016? I uploaded that. So just as I was like finishing school, and then it just blew up out of nowhere, and I got all these subscribers.
That's one of your first pieces almost one of your first pieces on into then. Almost, and if you sort of like that's quite impressive. Then I mean, I've not actually watched any of your videos yet because I've just not had time. But
maybe don't look at the old ones. Maybe look at the new ones.
I don't know because I mean I've had a quick flick through, like the thumbnails and what have you, and you've done some really interesting pieces for sure.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, really good. But I say, I've just not had time. You know what it's like yourself. I mean, even though it's a Saturday today, I've got I'm doing a load of alcove. They're not quite alcove units, but it's almost an alcove unit. It's all face frames and face framed inset doors. So I've got them to finish off making up. So I need to get them in spraying on Monday. So I'll be making them all weekend. But yeah, because you did a nice little jewellery box, I think it was. You done not long ago.
Oh yeah, that was a couple of years ago. Yeah, I did that.
Is that a couple? Well, it seems to be quite high on you. And your recent one, you've just done a.
Oh yeah, because I took a couple breaks in between.
Yeah, a coffee table you've just recently done, or a table.
That was a dining table. So that was a dining table for my personal home. So I did that. So after I did some rebranding with my business and stuff, because it used to just be my name. It used to just be Wesley Inglis. Now I've kind of rebranded and started to go with my actual business, which is called Grit and Grain Furniture and Joinery. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why have you gone away from your name? Because it's one of those sort of things with branding that it's a tough one, branding, isn't it? It is very tough, like, because I rebranded because I was JCR Joinery, because I've always done site work and not site work, but working at clients' houses, the normal kitchens, bathroom, that just general general work. And because I found it wasn't really fitting for my social media for the direction it was going, that's why I changed it to JCR Builds, because I thought it fitted a lot more. But it's weird because some people use the names, don't they? Like, there's quite a few of my friends, and they will use their actual name with design at the end, like the exchange design, and it really works. But yet other people, like myself, I don't like using my name in my branding, if you know what I mean. I just prefer it to be So
well, I think. Yeah, no, I think for me it was just like it wasn't I like my name, bad. It's not bad or anything, but it was more so there's certain people who have nicer names for as business names. Do you know what I mean? Especially their last names and stuff, or a variation of their last name. And if I were to go Wesley English Designs or something, it just doesn't for me. It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, I understand
that.
You know
that. Yeah, it doesn't seem it's if you. I don't know. For me, it just I didn't like it, and it wasn't as professional. And then again, it's also you're creating the whole brand as a part of it as well. And so if you ever decide to pass on the business or something, you have the actual name. And not just your name, because your name would just be associated with you. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. Because I suppose, what did you say? When it's your name, it is very much more of a personal thing, almost.
Yeah, which is not bad, but it just looks a bit more professional to me if you use,
I mean, grit and grain furniture. Do you say grit and grain furniture?
Yeah, grit and grain furniture and joinery. So ideally, my business is mostly furniture, which is what I try and advertise for most, because that's the type of work I would like to do. But joinery is just something that I can do and will do, because to be honest, I think especially in Australia, there's definitely I would say there's a bigger demand for built-in furniture, kitchens, wardrobes, vanities, all that kind of stuff. And people, then your average people don't need like custom furniture. Like typically they go to like the big box stores to go buy that stuff. And yeah, I just think like I personally love working with hardwood and solid timber. So that's my goal, is to get there. So this joinery more so like brings the money in, as the solid timber and the hardwood furniture, I think, picks its feet up. So, but yeah.
Well, it's also a bit about cash flows. I mean, I totally understand what you're doing. 'Cause like these sort of alcove units I'm doing at the minute. So I make everything myself and spray everything myself, and I go and fit it.
Oh wow.
But I really enjoy these sort of jobs. So I've just done a fitted wardrobe job. We'll say fitted. It wasn't really fitted as such because it was more of almost freestanding because it wasn't wall to wall. But basically, it was like two sort of like double wardrobes with 2 overhead lockers in the middle, LED lights. So I've got a few finishing touches like filler panels to go on the top once it's been plastered, because the ceiling's been plastered next week. But you see, I really enjoy making those sort of jobs and doing them jobs, but because of the sheer cost of them, in compared to if you were to go to one of the big box stores, you could have bought. It wouldn't have been the same by any stretch of the imagination, but you would have bought a similar design for a third of the price to what it cost, because labour costs money, doesn't it? Obviously.
Oh yeah.
So
compared to mass production.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say how much it costs because of sort of confidentiality for the clients. But it's that sort of thing where it's a lot of money, and not a lot of people, as you say, in the UK would indeed actually pay or do pay that sort of money, unless you get to until you get to that very niche area, like some of the the more affluent areas, if you like. And as you say, it's very much the same with like bespoke furniture. Like I made a chest of drawers that I absolutely adore. I made them for myself. Retail price would probably be sort of like around £3,000. So what's that? 6,000 Oz dollars.
Wow. Yeah.
But the thing, so people don't. It's not that there's only a very, very select few that buy that.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm sort of in the same sort of position with you, that even though that's the stuff I want to make, I end up then going in, like next week I'm going back onto site and I'm fitting skirting board and architraves, like trims, baseboards.
Yeah.
Those
carpentry,
so because the thing is, as you say, that's cash flow. So
yeah, it actually does bring in money. Yeah.
So that'll bring in 2-3 days money. Because the problem is when you're doing this big nice furniture, so to speak, as you call it, you're not getting that same money until your cash flow, because it takes so long. You still need your cash flow ticking over, don't you? Because otherwise, you can't live, can you?
And it's also very much especially here in Australia and Sydney, it's very much a location too. Like I find there's only probably maybe like a handful, probably 2 or 3 that I know in like the Western Sydney area that make bespoke furniture. But then you go down to Melbourne in Victoria, or like just Victoria in general, you have about like half the people I follow on Instagram are just from Victoria and like Melbourne.
Right.
And obviously in Sydney, like if you go to the wealthier suburbs, people will pay for that stuff. And the custom, because they just have the money to spend, so they're like, I want something custom. But then again, like the company that I used to work for, where I did my apprenticeship, they did apartment blocks, so big high-rise building units all day, and then they also did bespoke kitchens and stuff, because usually the builders will be building their house as well as the apartment buildings that their company's building, and so we would do their personal homes, which is where I did a couple of those jobs and went to those and stuff, and the kitchens are like 100 grand Australian dollars, and people would they would pay for that easily. I feel like though that especially with kitchens and that type of stuff, it's more like it's a lot more practical and like joinery, and people feel like they need it because it's built in, whereas it also increases the value of their home and the equity in their home because it's built in stuff, whereas like furniture you can just take with you. Do you know what I mean?
That's
yeah.
it. Because once the kitchen's in, it's sort of in. You're not
Yeah.
gonna start taking out all the base units in the work. Because the thing is,
No.
yeah, I mean, hypothetically, you could probably use the base units in another place, not a problem.
Yeah, I've
To
seen
a
people
point.
do that before.
But the worktops, they're never going to go in again, are they? Because
everything's
there's no way.
fit.
It's no way it's going to be the same. But
Mm.
even with base units, you know, I mean, that's the other problem with. I have made a couple of bespoke kitchens over the years, and what I do like about them is obviously you can make the units any size you want or any configuration you want. Whereas you go to the shelf, you're buying 500, 600, you're buying very specific sizes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the problem is, again, a bespoke kitchen unit is going to cost 4 times the price as going to the shop and buying a shitty MFC chipboard melamine faced unit that you bang the door on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was actually, because I don't do this actually full time. I do like property maintenance, kind of like a janitor kind of thing at a school at a school. So I do that full time, and then only do this on 3 days a week, and then on the evenings and stuff.
All right. I thought you were sort of full time in your in the cabinetry type. If you know what I mean, cabinetry, joinery, woodworking, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no. I only do it part time. I would like to do it full time. Hopefully, dropping some more days soon in the near future. So that would be good. But yeah, anyway, I was installing this kitchen that at work in one of the staff rooms they have at school for all the teachers and stuff. And it was we had to buy these these cabinets from Bunnings we have here. Like kind of like Home Depot, whatever.
Home Depot, like the big DIY stores.
DIY stores. And all the cupboards are generic, and so I had to use a scrap bit of panel in order to fill this about 100 mil, 75 mil gap. And so it just looked odd, and like it's all this vinyl wrap. But it's like not good vinyl wrap. It's like cheap vinyl wrap. So I'm trying to cut it, like scribe it with even a table saw with a high tooth blade, and it's just chipping like crazy. It's just shocking to me.
Thing is, though, I mean, that's very much the way that I'd say 90% at least of the kitchens are in the UK, because you go to
really, they're all vinyl.
They're all the wrap, the sort of wrapped, or the art of that sort of. Excuse me. The sort of, you need to use like a triple chip blade, so you don't, as you say, otherwise it's like when you cut melamine, it just sort of splinters and chips on the edge if you don't.
Yeah.
And then you have to clean it up with a plane or a router or something, and then so you end up having to cut it at 110 mil to get to 100 mil, don't you? Because you have to chip away at it. Not chip, you don't want to chip away at it. But
well, this was just so bad. Like it wasn't even glued properly. Like how the vacuum foam vinyl, like they heat it up and then stuck it down. But yeah, it didn't even seem like it was glued properly. It just lifted straight off the surface as soon as I cut it.
Yeah, but it's just the cheapness though, because the problem is, if you go and make a kitchen door, Joe, you're looking at a couple $100 to make and spray a door. Yeah. Well, you're going to go and buy that same door for $40 from Bunnings, so you're 5 times the price straight up, and that's where all these kitchens are. People like so the average kitchen in the UK, I'd sort of say I'd say to a client as a general, for like say a 3-bedroom house, that thing. I'd say like you're looking at 10 grand start, and that's your sort of ballpark thing. Yeah. And for that, I mean, it looks pretty. Don't get me wrong. You make it all look nice, but you don't get a lot for your 10 grand. I mean, if you want quality, you have to go to like get a German kitchen. So you're looking at with all the proper fittings with the Blums or the Fells or whatever. But for a German kitchen, I mean, to be honest, German kitchens I don't think are made that they're only using a higher quality like Eggerboard or something, for the actual carcasses. I won't say they're amazing, and as you say, they're £50,000-60,000. So over 100 Oz dollars, and you're like, they're not that good. I don't feel, and I do think. I mean, but like a lot of the money I think comes. That's where people I think spend the money on the worktops, say. Because
the stone, I
mean, we've got I've got American black walnut as my kitchen worktops.
Oh wow!
And they were. I mean, we haven't got much. I think about maybe 2-3 meter lengths, something like that. Pretty good. And that sort of did our kitchen.
Was it a 3? How does it weigh?
It's all the only thing I find is because, to be honest, I'm a little bit sort of. I mean, it's not clumsy. I'm just a bit sort of like I don't take as much. I think they need a lot of care. When you have solid wood worktops, you need to really take care with them.
Yeah.
And I found a couple of times, no, just I scratch them. So what I'll do, we have like I wouldn't realise. So I've got like my pestle and mortar, my stone pestle and mortar for ground and I'll just get it and I'll put it on the side rather than placing it on the side. I put it, and as you put it on the side, the stone will scratch the worktop, and you're like, so then you end up sanding it, refinishing it, and I mean they look amazing. They really do look amazing. But I think ours were about something like £2,500 for the two pieces. Super expensive, but you're like,
well, black walnut is expensive, in Australia.
I think though, I mean, I think probably American black walnut is probably my favourite, or at least up there, one of my favourite species of woods to work with or to look at. But what's the sort of woods what do you like in your way of woods?
Well, the thing is, like, I would love to work with like those sort of timbers. I've only made like a couple of things in black walnut, and not big things, like only small. I've used well, typically here we have a lot of eucalyptus. So like they call it Tasmanian oak, but it's not really an oak, it's eucalyptus. And it's more of like it's eucalyptus, but like they also call it Victorian ash. Like it's got a bunch of names. It's just like a select broad name for a bunch of eucalyptus species. And that's what I made my recent table out of. And it's a nice wood to work with. And it's one of the, I would say it's one of the nicer, cheapest hardwoods in Australia that we have. Like it would probably be above like your, I don't know, Meranti, which they have here, or Queensland maple, and pine. Like pine is, the bottom. And then you have like, I would say Tasmanian oak. It's good value for money, I would say. And then you have like your oak, your darker woods like Jarrah, which is like that real red looking timber. And then you got like Tasmanian blackwood, which is like a bit more high end. A lot of furniture makers use that wood. And then, your real fancy ones will use black walnut and like a bunch of other eucalyptus woods, nicer ones. But I would say my favorite one is probably Victorian ash or Tasmanian oak. I've worked with European beech before. I made my end of school major work with that. It was like a big dining table. To be honest, I wouldn't use it again. I wouldn't say it's not a very nice wood. Like it's nice to work with, very beautiful to work with, timber. But it moves so much. Like, and it's really cheap for a hardwood, but it's just like the top cupped like maybe 5 or 6 times as I was making the thing. And just like everywhere, it just moves so much. Like I wouldn't recommend it.
No, see, that's the difference. So obviously, with being on different continents altogether, that obviously we have different. It's not that we have different woods available, but obviously you're saying like eucalyptus for you. It's I don't know what the word is, but it comes obviously because it comes from Australia. It's like
it's readily available. Yeah,
it's part of your. So it's very much, I suppose, a bit like beech and ash and
ash is beautiful.
Even oak. Yeah. We have it in abundance here because it's all around us. It is literally everywhere. That's everywhere.
Like eucalyptus for us. It's like everywhere.
Yeah. But I know what you mean, because like beech worktops are quite popular for worktops in the UK. Kitchens.
I think that because they're so cheap. Like even like importing them from wherever they're from, Europe. It's just like I remember paying for all the wood for it when I did my. Well, obviously timber prices have gone up now, but it was like probably half the price of buying any other timber. And it's good. Like you see, like a lot of furniture makers, like or like the big, like IKEA and stuff. And like you go to like your typical furniture stores, they'll use beech in like everything, like and like kids' toys even they'll use beech just because it's so abundant, and I think it grows relatively quick. Like correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it does. But the other thing I've used beech for quite a lot is when I'm making up shaker doors. So I've used it for the rails and the stiles because it's a cheap
It's so
hardwood.
smooth.
Yeah, but because then it's actually really quite stable for when you're painting it. So when you paint it, so you get that nice, almost solid wood feel. So when you close the door, you get that clunk when it's solid wood, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So you get that because the other problem is, I mean, I know you could use oak, but then why would you buy oak and then paint? I mean, I know people do, but why paint oak? You don't. Well, you shouldn't.
Yeah, no, you buy the wood to look at it.
Yeah. So yeah,
but I would find that maybe I just bought a bad it wasn't dried properly or something. But even the beech that I find, like as I said, it's so nice to work with, and it's so close grained. It's not like oak, which is so open. Like so when you do paint it, like it's almost like a smooth finish. Like you can't even tell that it's
that's
wood.
it. When you give it when you spray it, you give it a couple of coats of like your primer and top coat, you could not tell that it was grained, as you say. It may as well almost be MDF. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so like burnished almost. You can get it so fine.
Yeah, so I mean, I will use on me sort of I'd say almost like the higher end of the installs. I would use beech. I did use a Popular to start with, but I found with Popular, it used to cup and bow very easily. A bit like you said.
Is that pretty popular in UK? Popular?
It was. I'm not sure. I mean, I know
it's big in America.
Yeah, it's very popular in America, but I'm pretty sure
because I don't think I've ever seen it here.
I'm not very good. I mean, you wouldn't have thought that. I've been in this business for what 24, 25 years now, and I'm shit with my wood species. Crap. And but I'm sure Popular's got another name that we go by the name of. Yeah, but again, it's quite a cheap. It's a very cheap timber. Tulip wood. That's it. Tulip. So it's also known as tulip wood. Popular.
Yeah, no, never heard of that.
But it quite often has almost like dirty lines in it. So you have to paint it. You can't leave it bare. And obviously we have European oak in abundance here because it's European oak. Do you know what I mean?
Does that look a lot like American oak? Or it's a bit darker?
No. So generally,
or less goldy.
I'm trying to see if I've got a piece lying around because I'm actually in my workshop, so to speak. I've only got red oak lying around. So yeah, because generally a lot of oak, American oak is white, or what we call white, American white oak. So it has got that sort of whiteness to it. So here's a bit of MDF. Where's this oak? I know you can't see if you're listening in, but I'm just going to show. So I've got a bit of MDF in here. Oh no, there you go. Can you just it's because I've got my back screen on. There you go.
Yeah. No, yeah, so I can see that. Yeah.
It's like a very, very sort of pale brown.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I know is that white oak or the?
No, that's European. Because I've got a virtual background on everyone. So unfortunately, as I'm trying to show you a piece of wood, it's cutting everything out, so it doesn't recognise there's no person there. And then we have another good one we have in the UK a lot of is red oak. But obviously, the problem with red oak it's got that very pink and reddish grain to it.
I would say the Tasmanian Victorian ash. It does have its pink hues a lot like red oak. We get red oak here too. And actually, one of the timber merchants I was speaking to the other day was saying that that eucalyptus, the one that I was talking about, Victorian ash, that's going up in price. And he said red oak is actually probably going to be the in thing because it's so much cheaper because it's in abundance. And I think it grows just like relatively quick.
Yeah, what I have done with red oak, so I mean, I have used Rubio for several years now. That's been my main go-to. I am looking at other finishes at the minute as well, just to, as a way of growing, so to speak, because I mean, I like Rubio, don't get me wrong, I've used it for years, but there can't be just one finish, there can't be. So I'm trying to broaden my horizons a little bit and trying to learn a bit more about different finishes and stuff because it's all about, for me, it's all about learning and growing every day. Do you know what I mean? So I am trying other finishes just to see what it gives. But anyway, with the red oak, you can actually use one of the white pre-colours. So it's like a water. So it takes away the redness of the red oak.
I've done that with Osmo actually. I have white Osmo. That table that I made, the most recent one, that I used white Osmo. How would you rate actually Osmo compared to Rubio? Because I've never used Rubio Monaco, and it's quite expensive as well.
It's not. It's really not. So I don't like Osmo.
Oh, okay. Oh, why?
I used to use it all the time, and it was definitely my go-to for things like doors. You know, like doors, and also worktops, kitchen worktops. So the problem I found with Osmo, and a lot of oil finishes as a general, I put that into a general thing, that they require a lot of maintenance. So every year, 18 months, you have to go back and re-oil the worktops. Now, I know that's good from a maintenance point of view because you've always got that couple £100 that you're going back for maintenance or whatever. But to be honest, I can't be bothered going back and re-oiling people's worktops because after in the last 10 years, the amount of kitchens I've fitted, I could end up spending an entire month just oiling the worktops again. I'm not doing it. I'm just not. So people think about the Rubio. I mean, there are other similar finishes, out there as well. But the coverage is that good. It's not expensive. So
because it's essentially just a one-cut finish, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I will just with walnut we use 2 coats. But see, the good thing about it is it's so hard wearing. I mean, literally.
So it's got the hardener, right? Because I know you mix it.
Well, that just accelerates, just helps it dry quicker. It doesn't make it harder. It just makes it dry quicker. But if you go onto my YouTube channel, there's actually several videos on how to use Rubio, and also I did a stain test one. So I got a piece of worktop that had been dried for like a month, and I put all the nasty things on, like ketchup, coffee, red wine, chili paste, all that. And then it shows you how hard wearing. Only a couple of them left ever so slight marks, like the I think it was like the chili paste, because it's so acidic. But with a bit of clean, you can get it off, mate, 100%. So, and the good thing is, I've got worktops I did 5-6 years ago, and they look brand new. So
in Rubio,
and you're not having to go back every single year and touch them up. So when you sort of factor all these costs in, and because you're doing the 1 coat, so when you're doing Osmo, you're doing 2 coats, 3 coats. So you have to do that over the space of a couple of days. Rubio, you're banging it on, you're wiping it off. Ta-ra, you're out the door. It's done. So you save the amount of time you save more than pays.
So how would you say that Rubio then like, is Rubio a hard wax oil?
It's classed as a hard wax, yes.
Oh, okay. Would
so it is linseed oil based though. It is
yeah.
It's not. It's linseed oil based. 100%.
Yeah. And is it like? Have you ever refinished spot refinished a
Again, there's videos all on my channel.
I'll leave links
below to nothing like plugging your own channel while we're here, pal.
have a look.
Yeah, but with the red ochre as well, with the chest of drawers I made, I did they do like a black pre-colour.
Oh yeah.
So you do the pre-colours are all water based. So you bang that on, you just denib it, and then you put the oil over the top, right?
Yeah.
And the chest of drawers is jet black, so you can't tell unless you looked at a little bit in the inside that I didn't do on purpose because I ran out. And I thought it was my own personal one, so I'm not bothered. There's a little, A4 size piece of paper that's not got finish on. I'm not bothered. But yeah, you would never know that was red oak, my chest of drawers, if you looked at it. You'd never know.
Oh wow.
I mean,
I definitely have to try Rubio.
The eagle eyes would probably tell that it was red oak by looking at the grain on my chest of drawers.
Yeah.
But any sort of like normal person, if you know what I mean, like not really well up on the species, they'd never know it was red oak at all in a million years. But yeah, I do definitely recommend giving it a go. I mean,
because I've always seen it. It was like different. Because I think when I bought Osmo, maybe like I think it's 750 mil was like I think 100 Australian, and then I think Osmo, because Osmo comes in the kits. I can't remember how much it is, but we have a couple places that sell Osmo because they're coming more. More people are stocking them now.
But
So
you see,
I have to
you'll
check
find
out
with it.
Rubio.
But if you think though, if you're doing, just for example, just call it 300 mil, just for example.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing 3 coats. That's only 100 mil. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But that 100
way
mil
to
of
put it.
Rubio will actually do the same as 200 mil of Osmo. So it goes
Yeah.
twice as far as well as. So you
And
get
the
something,
hard wearing properties. Yeah.
so you get, I think it's something like, I always get the figures mixed up. I think out of a 100 mil bottle of Rubio, I think it's about 18 square meters of finish. That's a lot.
So how do you apply? How do you apply it? Do you use that? I've seen people use a scraper. You do it that way, or they buff it in with like
the problem is with, I mean, I've been using it for a long time. So, and it's only been maybe the last year or two, definitely maybe the last year, where it's becoming quite popular and you're seeing it on the social medias. The amount of misinformation out there about how to apply it is unreal. And people are like coming up with it, oh, you do it, and you're like, no, it's not. And it's just, and obviously the thing is, I'll go and tell people, no, you want to do it like this. And people say, oh, you're talking shit. Rubio USA say to do this. I'm like, right, Rubio USA were formed 7 months ago. I've been using it for 6 years. I've got a feeling I know how to use it better than they do.
Yeah, wow.
Do you know what I mean? There are many ways you can do it. Don't get me wrong, but the thing is, obviously,
is it in the video?
Yeah, it's all in my videos, mate.
Yeah,
but I mean, you can get it. I mean, people use the spreaders and people get good results with it. Don't get me wrong, but I find it leaves patches, it leaves streaks, especially you can't do it that way on birch. But you see, because obviously I've made all these mistakes over the last 6 years. I know how to apply everything now. So
yeah.
I know what works and I know what doesn't work. So, you know, again, people have to find it out for themselves. And
yeah, because when I was finishing my table, I had a couple of because sometimes I buffed it in first with a with like a non-abrasive like Scotch-Brite.
Yeah, like a Brillo pad, but not a Brillo pad.
Yeah. One of those, just by hand, and some of the grain picked up and it hooked, and so I had to sand it back and then fill it just in that spot. And then I noticed when I refinished it with the Osmo, like I could never get it like as a consistent finish again. So I had to sand the entire top back, and because I also water popped it,
right?
And I did that again just in the spot, but it never came back. Like you could, if you looked at it in a certain like light, like a what's a low
Like
low bearing light, raking light, yeah, that's what it's called, yeah, and then raking light, you could see where it was refinished. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist like that, so I didn't like it, even though that was for myself.
I did do a video with a spot repair, and yeah, it was fine. But as you say, when your eyes that keen, when you're doing high end stuff, you have that sort of like detail eye, don't you? And you can see things that. Do you know what I mean?
You see things. Yeah.
Like you walk into a room and you can see if something's level or straight, can't you? You don't need to put a level on. You can see it straight away. Even if it's only a millimeter, you can see it, whereas the normal person can't. So on that piece of wood, I can see where the spot repair was. I can.
But to a generic person, they wouldn't.
But even that, one of my mates has seen it. He's not a joiner. He does woodwork and what have you. But he couldn't see it. He could not see it. And I'm like, well, that's because just their eyes are a little bit different. You know what I mean? Or he's not got bad eyesight or anything like that. It's just he can't see what we can see. But
it's probably because you did it. It's almost like that. Your brain plays on it a bit.
Yeah. But you see, if I was doing it for a client, I would never do a spot repair. I would sand back the entire area and refinish the entire area. I wouldn't even do a spot repair on a kitchen worktop. I would do so. I actually damage. Well, I haven't got damage. I've got a weird. I don't know what it is. Like a weird milky look on an area of my worktop. Don't know what it's from. So rather than doing it, because it is finished in Rubio, mine. Rather than doing a spot repair.
Is your kitchen?
Yeah, my own personal kitchen. So rather than doing a spot repair, I'm going to sand back that entire piece because I want it all to be exactly the same.
Even
Because
even like with over time, because I know that even walnut, it gets lighter over time.
Yeah, it can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people use the pigment in finishes to keep it its natural color or the color that they started with.
Yeah, I mean, walnut is a bit tricky with reveal because I've always done 2 coats. There's a whole debate over the whole thing. It's one of those do you or don't you? But yeah, it's one thing. I've not tried it. Have you tried any of that nano coating?
No, I was actually going to mention that. I had that thought before. I was actually going to say no, I haven't. I had an opportunity to use it a while ago on the table that I just made, but I was like, I just kind of wanted to get it done, so I didn't end up using it.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, because for me, it was like, I don't want to. Like at the end of the day, it's probably better to try it on something that I do for myself rather than a client's job. But I might even, because I know you can just do it in place, because I know that you have to wait till it's fully cured in order for it to put the nano coating on. So I might just buy a pack and do it on that table just to see, because I know it beads water so much better.
Yeah, I mean, the one I've been looking at mainly is the one by Cam from Blacktail Studios.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Is it N3?
N3.
Is it N3? Yeah,
N3,
yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of very good reports on it, to be honest, and the videos. And Cam definitely is very much a honest person, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he doesn't beat around the bush, that guy.
Yeah, he's not going to bullshit. You know, he tells things how it is. When he makes mistakes, he holds his hands up and shows you what he's done wrong. So I've got every faith that his product is exactly as he's showing it, if you know what I mean. Because you know yourself, it's very easy with cameras to either hide or misinform easily.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like you're not going to see it, so what do you care?
So you can see it. And I know that there was another recent finish. They just beat me to it because it's something I've been testing recently. It's all different finishes to see how they all test and what have you. But Lincoln Street Woodworks, he's just put a video up recently.
I think that's in my watch later.
Yeah, so he's actually done it, and he's used it on the very last piece, which I won't spoil it for you. But again, that annoyed me. I've got all these tests of all these different finishes all set out for doing this, and then one of the big channels obviously releases it, and you're like, now I'm just going to look like I'm copying.
Yeah,
I've been doing it for it's been sat here for 2 months all drying and making sure everything's all done correctly. Do you know what I mean? Everything's dry and testing, and so I've got all the footage, and I'm like, well, if I just put it out now, it looks like I'm copying, you know.
Yeah, it looks like
it's a hard thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? You can't win. So, have you got plans to do more with the YouTube, or is it just do you just sort of like as you're building something you think will be like your table say that you think will make a good video, you're just going to film that, or?
Yeah, well, so I don't typically film the cabinetry stuff that I make, just because like when I install something, I just want to take a video of that, especially if you're doing it in a client's home or anything, and sometimes it can be a bit boring rather than making a piece of bespoke furniture, but so I took a break from YouTube for a while, just because originally my thoughts were like, it just takes so long just to, because it adds like a quite extensive process to the actual making of the piece, because it's not just like you film the entire thing and you're just like you just cut all of it. It's like set the camera up here, set the camera up there, get this shot from this angle, zoom, like get it from that angle.
Then you don't
the lighting.
You don't quite get it right, so then you have to get another piece of wood to refilm that bit of B-roll that you're not going to use that piece of wood again anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you don't even use half the footage that you record. And so
5 hours of footage or 6 hours of filming when you're making something will be 3-4 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah, and when you're making stuff for people, it's like, I just sometimes they're waiting and you're like, you just want to get it done. But now it's like, for me, it's more of a marketing kind of thing to develop the brand to actually get YouTube. Because the thing is for me is I'm lucky enough now to have the subscribers. Like I don't like to boast about or anything, but like I have the subscribers, but it's just the views like need to come back up again, because it's almost like when I released that first video, it kind of peaked, and then it's just like, and then a couple of videos after that, and then it's just slowly been going down, like because the YouTube algorithm hasn't been recommending me. And so now I'm trying to, you know, pick back up that whole thing, just to get more kick and like generate traffic from my YouTube to my Instagram, and so that can build, and especially people like locally can see that, and like that, you know, all these, you know, famous people, like relatively famous people in the woodworking community follow me, and then I'm backed by certain people, and like also like collaborating with certain people is what I want to get into, just to put my name more out there. It's more of an advertising marketing thing for me, because I've never been good at the whole business side of things. Like I can make, like I'm very talented, like, you know, not to toot my own horn, but very talented at making the specific pieces and stuff. It's just like the whole business side I don't know much about. Yeah, how to get it out there, how to generate clients, stuff like that. Because most of my work is in, you know, through word of mouth, but never, like, that's why I rebranded and everything, in order to show people, you know, that this is serious, and it's not just like it's a brand. It's not just, you know, a guy making things in his garage. You know what I mean?
It's not a hobby. It's a brand. It's a business, almost.
Yeah, exactly. And like
potentially, it will be, hopefully, all being well for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's like they look at you as more professional, and then that you will take them seriously when they're, you know, asking for things. So I got quite a few things in the back burner in planning, but it's a very exciting season ahead. So we'll see where it goes.
Cool. All right. I think we'll call that today. As normal, I will leave all of Wesley's links in the description for his different social medias, YouTubes, and all that. So, of course, go and check his videos out. Go and commission a piece off him. Do you know what I mean? Make sure you tell him it was on the Wooden Work podcast you heard about him. And at least then we get a bit more of publicity for our old channel. Again, please leave reviews, any comments, questions for ourselves or any of our guests, previous or past. Please let me know. Thanks very much for joining me today, Wesley. It's very much appreciated.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it.
Okay, everyone. We'll see you next time.